Hi, all. This is Corrie Calderwood. I'm going to read The Boy Who Loved Words by Schotter. There are, in this world, people who are born collectors. Some collect shells or stones, others feathers. Some have even been known to collect tiny teaspoons. Such a one was Selig. He was a collector of words. Selig loved everything about words, the sound of them in his ears, tintabulating, the taste of them on his tongue, tantalizing, the thought of them when they percolated in his brain, stirring, and especially the feel of them when they moved his heart. Mama. When Selig heard a word he liked, he shout it out loud, jot it on a slip of paper, then stuff it into his pocket to save. Such a collector. Selig's pockets positively brimmed with words. He stuffed new ones inside his shirt, down his socks, up his sleeve, under his hat. While other children busied themselves with bats, nets, and all manner of balls, Selig stayed on the outskirts, always on the periphery, listening and collecting delicious words. His father, a practical man who sold sturdy shoes for a living, wondered what good could possibly come from a son with such a strange predilection. His mother, a large, lovely woman from the old country, worried. Could her beautiful boy find happiness? Waving her arms in the air, she was a windmill of worry. As time went on, people began to call Selig by a new name, Wordsworth. Hey, Wordsworth, kids would giggle. Here's a word for your collection, oddball. Oddball, Selig repeated. The silly sounding word should have made him giggle, but instead it made him lonely. One night, Selig had a dream. Alone in the front of an unusual emporium, he encountered an oversized amphora. Curious, Selig gave it a tap. Swoosh! Out popped a swarthy, swarthing man. Dijon, Selig exclaimed. Then, Genie, he shouted, enjoying the tang of the new words. What you want? The genie asked. A wish? Such strange and savory sound, such an offer. At a loss for words, Selig suddenly knew his wish. It was for an answer. Is it true? Am I really an oddball? Oddball, Faye, you are a wordsmith. A lover of words. Already you have what people search for their whole life. An enthusiasm, a passion. What you need now is a purpose, a mission. Then, without a word of warning, the genie disappeared. Selig awakened from his dream. Lickety-split, he packed his rucksack with a pillow, a blanket, apples, honey, cream soda, and his entire collection of words. He knew exactly what he had to do. Selig took to the road, determined to find his purpose. On the trail of his purpose, Selig's senses sharpened. He noted the nod and toddle of the tulips in the wind, the sway and swagger of tree branches, how at evening the light dimmed to announce the arrival of twilight and stars. Dusk, Selig noted, adding that short and enchanting word to his collection. But in time, Selig's step grew heavy. Under the weight of so many words, it was harder and harder to move. He was shuffling and shambling when he might have been rambling and ambling. Perhaps what he needed to do was lighten his load. But how? Throw words away? Waste them? Impossible. They were far too precious. Selig was too tired to think. His exhausted brain could imagine one thing: slumber, a splendid word. Sadly, he was too sleepy to write it down. In front of Selig stood a large and lovely tree. He removed his jacket, stuffed like his mamma's strudel with words. Tenderly, he hugged each word on its own separate branch, as if putting them to bed for the night. With a sip of cream soda and a nibble of honeyed apple, Selig clamored, then curled in a crook of the tree. Snug, he thought, and fell directly to sleep. Comfortably cradled there, he dreamed of his mama, his mission, and macaroons, his favorite cookie. During the night, a pacing poet, unable to sleep for want of a word, found himself under the same tree, gazing hopelessly at the moon. Night after night, he had been struggling to find the right words to describe it. Suddenly, mysteriously, a swirling wind blew up. 4 of Selig's words sailed off their branches. Reaching skyward, the distracted poet caught them. Discarding the word macaroon, he held tightly to lozenge, lemon, and licorice. The moon, he wrote in his notebook, growing more and more excited with each word, melted like a lemon lozenge in the licorice sky. My stars, the poet started, exultant. That's it. The following morning, Selig woke to what could only be described as a rhapsody of birds and words. The poet was reading his newest poem aloud, a poem chock-a-block with Selig's words. Wiping the sleep crumbs from his eyes, Selig scrambled down the tree and saluted the poet. Your poem, he told him, contains some of my favorite words. How beautifully you use them. Why, thank you. For once, the words just seemed to come to me. Upon my word, how lucky I am. What, may I ask, is your name? I should like to dedicate my poem to you. For a moment, Selig hesitated. Then suddenly, for the first time ever, he proudly proclaimed, they call me Wordsworth. It was then that Selig realized his mission. It was spreading the word, sharing his words with others. From that day forth, Selig's steps were light and filled with purpose. Ever the collector, he added new words as it pleased him, but now, whenever he felt word heavy, he discovered the ideal places to sprinkle, disperse, and broadcast them. In that way, a baker whose pastries had always been ignored found his shop filled with a mob of hungry customers. When the baker's back was turned, Selig, on a macaroon break, had tossed some of his favorite words into the air. Crispy and crunchy landed next to the crumpets. Scrumptious fell against a loaf of pumpernickel. Luscious leaned against a layer cake. Upon my word, how lucky I am, the baker exclaimed when he turned his back and saw his voracious new customers. Neighbors realized when they were bickering when the words fuss, hubbub, and jibber-jabber rained down on them and stopped their fighting. Selig watched them grow still and gazed kindly upon another after he cast hush, harmony, and chum in their direction. And so, by word of mouth, the legend began. It's Wordsworth, people would whisper, when suddenly the right word would occur to him. He is near, they would nod knowingly. Upon my word, how lucky we are. Years passed. Selig was a man now, also a myth. But while he delighted in his work, he found that once again He was lonely, solo, he sighed. One day, after launching the words limber, spry, and gusto toward an aging, unhappy man, Selig heard a sound on the breeze. A singing, pulsing, marvelous note floated through the air and found its way straight to his heart. Melissifus, he exclaimed. Pursuing that perfect note, Selig found a young woman seated by a lake playing a lute. Suddenly, his heart was aflutter. Tremulously, he asked, "May I have a word with you? What is your name?" "They call me Melody," the woman sang out. The music of her voice, combined with the charm of her words, was, to Selig, the sweetest of songs. It was love at first listen. Together they journeyed back to Selig's hometown, to his mother and father. What a reunion! How his mother smiled when she saw them. Worried that they looked thin, she cooked Selig's favorite foods: brisket, dumplings, plum crumble, strudel, and of course, macaroons. To comfort their tired feet, Selig's father cobbled a couple of his sturdiest shoes. Rested and restored, Selig resumed his life's works, joyfully gathering and scattering words on the wind. Since then, word by word, legions of lucky people have discovered and delighted in them. You too may find yourself lucky if one day, while you are thinking or writing or simply speaking, and the perfect word just seems to come to you. If so, you'll know that Selig is near. And on special days, if you feel like humming or suddenly bursting into song, you'll know that Melody is with him. Upon my word, you may say, how lucky I am. I am a person who loves words.